it's always a bit of luck making silage in this part of the country. We don't get persistently warm, good weather all the time. You're always battling with the rain, and that can really alter the quality. The thing is, with our farm is a sheep and beef farm, so it's not absolutely paramount that we make the best quality silage. Silage which is destined for cows, for beef, I mean milk cows or horses, needs to be way better than the quality we produce. So we do have a degree of leeway when we're making our silage, which makes things a little bit easier. With milk cows, for example, if the silage quality is not good, it negatively affects the milk output. With beef cows, it's not that bad. End of the day, the role of a beef cow is just to either raise a calf or put weight on. So for our farming system, silage quality, we always try to make it good, but it's not paramount that it's the best quality silage there is. Fortunately, this year the weather hasn't been too bad for us, for our farm. I know this year there's plenty of other farms which have suffered really bad, especially the arable farms. Straw production this year has been really affected by like various wet spells we've had earlier this year, but luckily those haven't affected us, although it is going to make the price of straw a lot more expensive. So we're trying one or two things this year to try and get around that. But anyway, let's get moving some bales. So let's give you an introduction of some of the stuff we're using. This thing at the back, bale lifter, pretty self-explanatory. It'll fit 2 bales at a time on the rear when we lift them up. Just going to get it set at right angle so you're not tearing the plastic wrap when you're picking them up off the floor. We like to pick our bales up as soon as they've been done. Like I say, we're in a wet part of the country, so if we get hit by a lot of rain, the bales sink, and that makes it a bigger pain. It makes it a bigger pain in backside picking them up. On the front here, as you can see, we've got what's called a bale cuddler. It grips the bales like that, holds onto them. I like the bale cuddler. There's a bit of a debate between some farms and between farmers about what's the best, whether the bale cuddler's the better system or like the 2-foot lifting systems, which are a bit like the bale lifter we have on the back, which fit onto a loader. I personally prefer the bale cuddlers. I think they squeeze a little bit of air out of them, out of the bales, which is always a good thing. The less air you have in the bales, the better. Less chance of them going mouldy. That's about it, really. This is our bale clamp, what we're looking at here. We tend to stack all our bales on the sides. They keep the shape better by the time you get to the rear of the clamp, and you're dealing with bales which may have been actually done, might have been made from the previous year. They still retain the shape. We used to stack them on the side, kind of like that bale over there, if you can see it just in the background, and then put them on the side. Although they're easier to pick up, they do squash more, and as I've mentioned previously, we move the bulk of these bales with what's called a bale shear, which is like a grab which can split the bales in half while still keeping hold of the wrap. We found squash bales are a real pain with using that machinery implement. You want the bales to be as round as possible, so we found that using a bale cuddler is a better way, and stacking the bales this way up is a better system. Also with this way, if you pierce any holes on the top or bottom, they're self-sealing, so again they let less air in. Previously, I mean just before I took over, before my dad's heart attack, We used to just spark our bales and lift them in by sparking them through the centre. And we did that for many years. It was only when we started using like the cuddling system, a cuddling system like this, that we'd really noticed like the quality of our silage improved. Because again, because we're a beef farm, the quality of our silage doesn't really need to be absolutely tip top compared with dairy farms. So, but we have noticed a noticeable improvement when we switched to the cuddling system, when we didn't spark our bales. Basically, when it comes to making half decent silage, you don't want any air being introduced into the centre. If you stick a spark into a bale and lift it up, you're creating an air pocket or an air core right down the centre, and you're also piercing the wrapping. And then usually they start to go from the mouldy from the inside out, which really ain't good. Those sort of bales, when they get mouldy, they're not too bad for beef cows, but sheep won't eat them, and you'll make sheep ill anyway feeding them bales like that, because they can contain things like listeriosis and other things. So anyway, enough talking. Let's get some bales moved. Yeah, you can't beat this job on a day like today. Sky's clear, sun on your back, and the views up here, which is one of the top or highest parts of our farm, is spectacular. I don't know if you can see it, but over in the distance you have Pendle. You can see Nelson, which looks surprisingly nice for moving the sun on it. Yeah, absolutely stunning. Not just that, it's the wildlife you see as well when you're moving bales. Makes the job really pleasant. So as you can see, a few bales to shift, not many. Only take a couple of hours work. That's the bulk of our bales collected for this year. So that's about it. Moved all the bales now. Moved about 30. We did the ones from the small field, which I was pitching in earlier, which we were filming in earlier. We also had another 12 to shift on a small piece of land which we rent further down the road. That involved transporting them up and down the main road, which is always fun, especially when someone comes around the corner a bit too fast and they see a tractor laden with 3 bales careering up the road. Soon slow down when they see that. So that's about it. So now we've moved all our bales for winter. That's our siloing over and done with. We start as early as May, June with siloing, and then we do it in batches up until about now. About another 3 weeks to 4 weeks, those bales should have fermented and warmed up, basically so they're usable and good enough to feed our cows. We'll actually probably start feeding our cows this week. The few fields where we are keeping our cows outside now have been pretty much grazed fully. Also, once you start getting into end of September, there's less nutrients in the grass for them, so you need to supplement them with some good grass and perhaps even mineral blocks as well, which we usually do. I always feel like once you start feeding cows silage, summer's over, winter's coming. to use the Game of Thrones catchphrase. So yeah, thanks for watching this. If you like this video, like and subscribe. Feel free to leave a comment below, any questions or anything. If you'd like to join my mailing list, just pop along to my website, link below this video, and I can send you an email anytime when I make a new video like this. Thanks a lot.